Hello there, I'm Cecil, and today we will be talking about global warming and climate change. In this video, we will be discussing what global warming and climate change is, the cause and effects of global warming, some solutions to global warming, and how you personally can help stop it. Before we dive right into the topic though, we'll need to first lay down some definitions because there are some small but key differences between the two terms. Global warming refers to the rise of the average global temperature of the Earth over time, whereas climate change includes global warming and the impacts from it, like melting glaciers, rising sea levels, and extreme weather events. Climate change can be caused by humans or can occur naturally, like for example the ice ages. With global warming, scientists are solely talking about human-caused warmings and not the natural warming of the Earth. So how do humans cause global warming? Well, the majority of global warming is caused by the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas, which puts greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, thus enhancing the greenhouse effect. But what is the greenhouse effect, and how do fossil fuels enhance it? Let's take a look. In the greenhouse effect, some of the incoming radiation from the sun is reflected back to the space by the atmosphere and clouds, but the majority of it is absorbed by the oceans and land masses, thus heating the Earth. The heat from the Earth is radiated back up to space, where some of it is trapped by the greenhouse gases, keeping Earth at a life-sustainable temperature. However, by burning fossil fuels, more greenhouse gases are put into the atmosphere, which leads to more heat being trapped and Earth's temperature rising, thus enhancing the greenhouse effect. There are 5 gases that are termed greenhouse gases. These are nitrous oxide, carbon dioxide, water vapor, methane, and chlorofluorocarbons, which are shortened down to just CFCs. Carbon dioxide is the most common and the main greenhouse gas. It's the primary reason why the global temperature is rising so much. This is because carbon is a long-lived gas, and so it can remain up in the atmosphere for years and years. Carbon dioxide is found naturally in the world. It's what humans and animals breathe out and what plants use to make their own energy and food. However, humans are the main contributor to carbon dioxide emissions. We release these emissions mainly by burning fossil fuels, but also by deforestation and land use changes. Nitrous oxide is produced both naturally and by humans using fertilizers, burning fossil fuels, producing nitric acid, and burning biomass. Methane is also produced naturally and by humans. Trash decombusting in landfills, agricultural use, mainly growing rice and taking care of livestock, results in methane production. CFCs are produced entirely by humans and are responsible for the hole in the ozone layer a couple years ago. Nowadays, though, CFCs are heavily regulated due to their destructive nature. Methane, nitrous oxide, and CFCs all are more reactive molecules and have a stronger greenhouse effect than carbon dioxide. However, these gases only make up a small percentage of all the gases in the atmosphere, which is why carbon dioxide is the primary greenhouse gas. Water vapor is a unique greenhouse gas, and that it has a feedback. Water vapor naturally comes from evaporation and results in the creation of clouds in the atmosphere. The clouds not only help reflect the sun back to space, but also trap in the heat that is being radiated from Earth. This then causes the temperature to increase, which leads to more evaporation, water vapor, and clouds, which increases the temperature further. This ultimately results in a never-ending cycle that is always being amplified, thus resulting in a positive feedback loop.
But Cecil, how do we really know that these gases are causing global warming?
That's a very good question. There's actually a bunch of scientists that have already asked and studied that exact question, and they have the data to support this. At an observatory in Mauna Loa, Hawaii, the atmospheric levels of carbon dioxide have been recorded since 1958, which is when the project was started. The varying levels of carbon dioxide emissions in the atmosphere has been accumulated into a single graph called the Keeling curve, named after Charles David Keeling. The levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide is indicated by this black line, and as you can see, it has been steadily increasing ever since the beginning of this project in 1958. The increasing levels of carbon dioxide strongly correlates with the increasing global temperatures, which is why many scientists believe that an increase of greenhouse gases is the leading cause of global warming. Now, I know you might also be wondering why the levels of carbon dioxide vary up and down on the Keeling curve. Well, this variation is due to the seasonal changes in the northern hemisphere. During spring and summer, there is less carbon dioxide in the air because there are more plants growing and using more carbon dioxide than during fall or winter, where plants are dormant and not using as much carbon dioxide.
Well, I also heard that the Earth is getting warmer due to the sun getting hotter.
This is a common misconception about global warming. Logically speaking, it would make sense that if the sun is getting hotter, then the Earth should be getting hotter as well, right? The truth is, though, that this is not the case currently. Sure, the sun can affect the Earth's climate, and yes, variations in the orbit of Earth around the sun can cause ice ages. But in the past couple of decades, the rapidly increase of global temperatures cannot be explained by this. Let's take a look at this graph to better explain this. In this graph, we're looking at the global temperatures and the sun's energy, which are represented by the red and blue lines. As you can see, both the global temperatures and the sun's energy have yearly variations, all of which is completely normal. But the yearly averages of the sun's energy is decreasing, while the Earth's averages of the global temperature is increasing at rapid rate. This indicates that increase of global temperatures is not caused by the warming of the sun. Another indicator that the sun is not responsible is that the surface of the Earth is warming and the upper stratosphere is cooling, which is consistent with the build of greenhouse gases. If the sun was responsible, then all the layers of the atmosphere, including the stratosphere, would be warming, and this is just not what we're seeing currently.
Well, if global warming is actually happening, then why is it so cold outside?
Oh, that is actually a pretty misguided myth about global warming. As we know, global warming is the warming of the average global temperature of the Earth, but climate is the average weather patterns in a region over a long period of time. There are many different climates on Earth, ranging from the cold Arctic to North America temperate zones, to the tropics. In each climate, there are varying day-to-day and month-to-month variations in temperature, precipitation, and air pressure. Basically, differences in weather in general. This means that while there are daily fluctuations between warm and cold temperatures, the average global temperature is still increasing. However, global warming can cause the polar vortex, which is a large area of low pressure and cold air around the north and south poles, to be unstable, leading to more variations in temperatures and colder winters overall. Now that you're convinced, or more educated and hopefully persuaded that global warming is definitely still happening, what does this mean for Earth? Well, global warming has some serious effects on all life on Earth, some of which we are already seeing. Some of the more common effects that you might have heard about or already seen is melting glaciers and Arctic ice sheets in both Greenland and Antarctica, which will lead to a rise in sea levels. This will cause glaciers and Arctic sea ice to retreat. Ocean acidification. Ocean acidification is another effect, and it leads to coral bleaching. This causes loss of ecosystems and species which live and depend on the coral reefs. Ocean deoxygenation is also caused from ocean acidification, and it is the loss of oxygen in the oceans. This results in low oxygen zones, or dead zones, which poses huge risks to marine life. Lastly, global warming will cause an increase in extreme weather events like hurricanes, monsoons, tornadoes, and wildfires. A recent example of this would be the wildfires in California last summer and hurricanes Florence and Maria. So how do we solve global warming? Well, On a large scale, every nation has to reduce their carbon emissions by 45%. We should also be planting more trees, investing money into carbon dioxide removal machines, and relying more on renewable, green energy like solar, wind, or water. However, there are changes that even you can do to help stop global warming. You can use green energy to power your home, weatherize your home to minimize drafts, eat less red meat, drive fuel-efficient vehicles like Teslas, and use LED light bulbs. The most important way that you can help stop global warming, though, is to speak up. Your voice is the most powerful weapon against global warming. You can talk to your elected government officials and elect people who understand it. You can talk to your friends and family and educate them on the topic, so they start making steps to help stop global warming as well. By being educated on this topic, we can all come together and hopefully find a solution to stop global warming and climate change. In the dissertation below, there will be links to some websites that will provide you with more information on global warming. I am once again the amazing Cecil, and thank you for sticking around until the very end of this video.